The Samsung Galaxy Note 9, it's been unwrapped recently and it sets the tone for the back end of the year. As with any successive device, there's always going to be some people wondering if it's worth the upgrade over last year's offering. Hey guys, it's John B here with PhoneArena, and this is our comparison between the Samsung Galaxy Note 9 and the Note 8. Aesthetically, they look pretty similar to one another. From their metal meets glass constructions to the placements of their ports and buttons, there is no denying that Samsung recycles the majority of the design, but there are still a few minor changes. The most notable one is the repositioning of the fingerprint sensor. It's now below the cameras on the Note 9 versus right next to them with the Note 8. It's no longer prone to being covered or smudged with our finger when we're trying to unlock the phone, and it's a lot more accessible. Secondly, the S Pen with the Note 9 has been upgraded with Bluetooth connectivity. You still get the same core pen and paper-like experience, so you can jot down notes and draw sketches, but now it becomes an extension of the phone. That's because it can be used as a remote shutter for snapping photos, you can navigate between slides in a presentation, and you also get media playback controls. And lastly, there's now a new ocean color blue with the Note 9 and does have a yellow colored S Pen, which does make for an interesting color combination. Beyond that, their designs are pretty much identical. They have premium constructions and they're also water resistant. Their displays are also kind of similar. They both utilize Super AMOLED technology and they both feature Quad HD Plus resolution. The difference here is in size. You have a 6.3-inch display in the Note 8 versus a slightly larger 6.4-inch display in the Note 9. Specs aside, they're very similar with their characteristics. You have 6400 Kelvin color temperatures, and they're really good with their color accuracies. The other standout is the brightness output of the Note 9. It is stronger at 575 nits versus only 518 nits on the Note 8. For the most part, the core experience on both phones are pretty much identical. They're running Samsung's experience on top of Android 8.0 Oreo, and obviously there's incredible focus on productivity with the two, because you have things like Edge Panel for quick shortcuts, you have side-by-side apps windows for better multitasking, there's also one-handed mode for easier operation, and then there are the host of S Pen functions for jotting down notes and drawing stuff. You also have an enhanced Bixby function, you have access to those AR emojis, and there's no longer the need to use a DeX Pad station to access the phone's desktop-like experience. Overall though, the Note 9 doesn't necessarily redefine the experience, but instead, it complements the fundamental stuff that the Note series is known for. As we're running different benchmark tests and checking them out, it's quite obvious that the Note 9 has the advantage when it comes to processing performance. That's because it's the newer device. It's running the latest Snapdragon 845 chip for the US-bound models, while international ones will be leveraging the Exynos 9810. That's going to be better than last year's offering with the Note 8 and its Snapdragon 835 chip. Superficially though, you'd be hard pressed to notice any difference with their performances. They're both pretty responsive and quick with basic actions. But over in the graphics processing side, there's definitely a boost to the Note 9's performance. You get slightly better frame rates than its predecessor. We will say that we're happy to see that Samsung has upped the capacity with the Note 9 to 128GB of storage versus last year's offering, which only started at 64GB. Moving on to their cameras, the Note 9 obviously borrows from its predecessor, so it's still a dual camera implementation, but now features that variable aperture. When it comes to the shooting experience though, there's a little bit more out of the Note 9, just because you're going to have additional features like AR emoji, you have a new super slow motion mode, and a new scene optimizer mode that intelligently detects a scene and applies enhancements to improve the look of the shot. When there's good lighting around, you won't be disappointed by the results from either smartphone. However, there are a few minor differences that we could point out. For starters, the Note 9 tones down some of the enhancements, as the Note 8 samples clearly tend to have more contrast and saturation. While details remain rich and plentiful, there's a subtle amount of sharpening applied to the Note 9 shots. In low-light situations, we're giving the advantage to the Note 9, mainly because its shots look cleaner in general. We can see that because when we zoom into some of the shots, there's just a smidgen more noise and softer tones with the Note 8. For recording video, we set both phones to shoot at UHD resolution at 30 frames per second. And we'll admit that their performances are top-notch, but there are still some differences between them. Details are very strong, but the Note 9's performance is strengthened by its ability to stabilize footage better, you have a sharper overall tone, and better handling of dynamic range. The Note 8 seems to struggle when it comes to adapting from low to high exposure scenes, since there's some noticeable artifacting elements produced in the process. Low-light performance goes to the Note 9 as well, generally because the Note 8 exhibits far more noise in the scene, which doesn't help either when details are a tad bit softer looking. Multimedia is handled rather well with both phones. It's worth mentioning that the Note 9 does indeed feature dual speakers versus only the single one in the Note 8. Interestingly enough though, they both reach a peak output of 74.6 decibels. Over on the video side, they are exquisite and fantastic with their Quad HD Plus displays, especially when you set the video optimizer modes on, because now it increases the brightness and also the vibrancy of the displays. Conversations are handled nicely with both phones too, and in our experience they both suffice for the occasion. Voices generally sound audible without sounding too artificial through the earpiece, while their speakerphones are loud enough to be usable during noisy conditions. The overall size and shape of the Note 9 is identical to the Note 8, but it's really impressive that it has a larger 4000 mAh battery versus the 3500 mAh one in the Note 8. And the difference is huge because the Note 9 lasted a full 1 hour longer than the Note 8 in our custom battery benchmark test, and also manages to recharge relatively fast. The Note 8 has a faster charge time of 102 minutes, but considering the capacity that's in the Note 9, the 109 minutes it needs isn't too shabby either, and you get wireless charging with both devices. So as you probably heard throughout this review, there's a lot going for the Note 9. There are improvements pretty much everywhere, but if you currently own the Note 8, there's seriously not a whole lot of reason to make the upgrade to the Note 9. It's just not worth forking over the extra money. With a starting price of $1,000, the Note 9 is undoubtedly the most expensive in the line. Sure, you'll get a phone with the latest hardware, new S Pen features, slightly better camera performance, and a longer battery life, but at the end of the day, it's just not worth making the upgrade if you currently own the Note 8 because you get the same core experience and baseline performance. Now if you tell us you're torn between one of the two phones as your next device, then that's a totally different story. Right now, you can pick up the Note 8 for as low as $600 through a carrier or $750 outright for an unlocked one. We're inclined to say to go with the Note 9, despite the substantial investment, but that's just a matter of selling yourself on the Note 9's newness and set of additional features. And that is it for our comparison here between these two phones. If you guys want to learn more about them, you can check out our website, PhoneArena.com. This is John V, signing off.